What's up, everybody? ShonnyDman here, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys are having yourselves or had yourselves a great weekend. Bringing you back another episode of Nerd Talk. We were on a little bit of a hiatus, just some stuff going on, but we got that resolved. But we're definitely back, so I'm very excited for this new guest that we have on for this series. So to get us started, tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Teeny, that's what I go by online. I am a cosplayer. I'm 26. Um, I don't really know what else to say. That's kind of it.
Definitely,
I have
that's
a few
fine.
sort of main I have a few sort of main cosplays being Gwen and Harley. They're the two that sort of pop up the most. So that's probably what I'm known for. Um, but yeah, that's kind of it.
No, that's definitely fine. So you are from the UK, correct? I think I remember.
Yes, I
Okay.
am indeed.
Okay. So what are the cosplays there like? Because I had somebody on uh about a little bit a while ago who was a cosplayer out of Australia, and she was telling
Oh,
me that obviously their cosplaying is not on par with what goes on here in the US.
yeah.
What's y'all's cosplay conventions and things like that? How do those go?
I think the cosplay here, my mutuals and people that I personally know are incredible. They are top tier in my opinion. Um, and we have a few really big conventions being MCM that happens in London. It happens at the big stadium in London. That's the sort of one that everybody who's anybody goes to. I haven't personally been, so I can't say what it's like. I've only just started my convention journey. Um, but yeah, we've got a couple of MCMs that happen every year. I think they happen twice a year. We've got MegaCon that happens twice a year also. That's quite popular. It's quite big. I believe that one happens all over the country. It's in London, it's in Birmingham, it's in Manchester. It's sort of all over. Um, and then we've got a few, local cons. I know my city does a local con. A few cities around me do local cons that are a bit smaller. And then there's a few sort of indie companies that do their own conventions as well that are more content based, which is really nice if you don't want the general public. If you're just getting started, they're really fun.
Okay, okay. So what got you into cosplaying?
I've been cosplaying since I was about 15, 16,
Okay,
but it was much more casual. I have always been into dressing up. I've always loved fancy dress parties. They've always sort of been my favorite type of party. And I was always like, I need to go all out. I need to look exactly like this character, not realizing it that it was cosplay, that was even a thing. Um, and so I would always do my best to be as close a replica to the character that I was dressing up as, even just at like my brother's fifth birthday party, you know. Um, and I did Snow White, was my first costume because it was for my brother's party, and he was like, I was like, I can't decide who I want to be because there's all these characters that I've always wanted to dress up as, and he was like, I think you should do Snow White because you look like her, and I was like, done. And that was how I started cosplay. um, and then, all the little girls at the party, all the little 5-year-olds, oh my gosh, it's Snow White, thinking I was a party princess. I'm like, it's my brother's birthday, but okay. Um, realized how much of a positive sort of reaction I got out of kids. And then, World Book Days at college and things like that, I would go with Snow White because I had the costume. I was like, that's easy peasy. And then when I was working in nurseries, it was the same World Book Day. I would go in as Snow White and I'd be like, oh my God, you look just like her. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess. I know. I tried. And then that kind of sparked my love for it. And I didn't properly start sort of content making in cosplay until 2020 during the lockdown when I had time to actually do it.
right.
And then I bought myself Harley Quinn, and then here we are. It sort of snowballed from there.
Oh man, that's it. Okay, that's interesting. So you primarily
Mm.
just do Spider Gwen and Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, they are the two that I'm known for, yeah.
okay, you did Harley first, correct? Or did you just
Yes. Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was Harley first. It was the Suicide Squad one
Hmm.
that I did first during the first lockdown. Gwen, I actually only got Christmas just gone. So I haven't been doing Gwen for very long, but I fell in
Okay.
love with the suit so much. I just wear it at every opportunity.
um so those are your main two that you're known for. But what are some other
Yeah.
cosplays that you've done?
I did Hela from Thor Ragnarok when Thor came out. The newest movie came out last year. We hosted an event at the local cinema, and I was stood outside posing as Hela. I've done Princess Peach recently for the new Mario movie, just purely for the giggles. Who else have I done? I've got a Spider-Man. I've got Tom Holland's Iron Spider suit. That's my favorite suit. I've done a few versions of Harley Quinn. I've got her classic suit, which is my personal favorite. And then I've got her Suicide Squad 2, the red dress where it's all torn up. I've got that one. I've done Poison Ivy. I made a Poison Ivy. That was my first cosplay that I made myself. Um, I've done Raven. She was quite popular, but I haven't done that since last summer because it's quite revealing, and it's one of those where it's like if I'm outside, I'm a bit like, oh, let me just pull my cape all the way around. So I don't do that one very often, but everyone's like, oh, do it again. I'm like, no, not yet, not until I've upgraded it.
Oh
That one can wait.
oh my goodness. So, so the cons there. How long do they like? How many days are there? Because I know here in the U.S. there are a few that may last uh like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then there are some. There's one coming up in Atlanta. Actually, towards the end of this month, called Dragon Con, and that one is like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So how long do your
Ours is
cons
pretty
usually?
much the same.
Oh, really?
The big cons, yeah, the big cons are usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then people do things on the Monday.
Oh, yeah.
I've been to a few cons that are just the Saturday. We had it's not a convention like a Comic Con, but it's called Fantasy Forest. It's like a Ren Fair had baby with a Comic Con, and then you get Fantasy Forest, and that is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So yeah, about the same.
Okay, okay. So what are some cosplays that you're working on right now that you can't wait to
Oh
finish?
gosh. At this very moment in time, I'm not working on anything. I just finished Barbie the other week, a few
Oh
days
yeah.
before I went to see the movie. And that had so many hiccups that I'm just letting my brain rest for a minute before putting myself through that ever again. Um, because I ended up just going and buying a standard swimsuit from a clothes shop that ended up stocking them. And I was like, well, that's a godsend because now I don't have to make the whole bodysuit, and I just rhinestoned the whole thing instead because everything so far had gone wrong. I was like, this is going to be my easiest option. So I'm letting my brain rest. I haven't really got any definitive cos plans at the moment, but I'm working on a few wigs for a convention that I've got coming up. I just finished my Gwen wig to make it accurate to the Spider-Verse movies. That was a big challenge
Yeah.
getting the side shave to look real. And then I'm, working on a new Harley Quinn wig because I chopped mine up to be Gwen. And then I need to redo Barbie because Barbies will become Harley. So it's all sort of just restyling everybody ready for a convention. But no solid cos plans at the moment.
Okay. Okay. Did you like the Barbie movie?
Oh, I loved the Barbie movie so much. I loved it so much. And my partner got dressed as Ken, and he was not impressed when we first got there. He is a cosplayer, but he's never done anything like that. He's a primarily Star Wars and Spider-Man. So for him to be, all in pink in the rollerblading outfit, but we got lots of compliments. So that just made the experience 10 times better. But I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people. I see a lot of people dress up and everything for it. So yeah, definitely.
Not many people did it. The local cinema that we went to, we were the only two people that properly dressed up, and we were like, oh,
Really? Oh,
yeah. We were quite shocked because we saw it on a Monday, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, can we get your picture?" Like nobody's come in full costume yet, and we were like, "Really? Oh my goodness!" So that just made it even better that we were just the center of attention at the cinema.
yeah, I know. I saw like there's a few people here, especially where I live, or really all over. There were just people everywhere, just dressing up, cosplaying for Barbie.
Yeah,
I was just like, man, y'all are dedicated. That is for sure.
yeah. I did it
Uh,
for Spider-Man as well. I went in full costume for Spider-Man.
oh yeah, I don't think I saw.
So
Well,
yeah,
I think I saw a few cosplayers or just people in general
mm,
dress up for Spider Man. I remember when I was younger because here we used to do a lot of the kind of midnight premiere movies, and
yeah.
people used to dress up for that. So that was pretty fun. But
Yeah, we have a few. My local cinema does like midnight screenings for people that work at the cinema, that staff, and I've been invited to a few midnight screenings because have planned events for them in the past. I've done things with them. I'm quite close with all of the staff and the management. It's like, do you want to come and watch the movie early at midnight? I'm like, absolutely, yes, I do. And then I'll go the next day in cosplay, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, coming to see it again.
so, so where? So have you thought about going to the U.S. for some of their cons that they do? There is somebody I know that I had on a few weeks ago. She's based in Canada, and
Yeah.
I believe she went to a con in the UK. I think her boyfriend lives
Hmm.
in the UK, but I can't remember
Yeah.
exactly which one she went to. But would you ever think about going from the UK to the US for like, let's say, New York Comic Con or something like that?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. You guys go hard. Like, I have a friend who lives over in America somewhere, and she goes to conventions quite a lot with her little group. I'm like, oh, I'm getting FOMO and I don't even live there. So yeah, absolutely. I feel like it'd be a very different experience to the UK. Um, just because you guys go so much bigger than anywhere else on the planet, so it would be nice to experience sort of like, I know San Diego Comic Con is like, the big one that everyone's obsessed with, and yeah, it would be lovely to get an opportunity to go over to an American con. Absolutely.
Okay, okay. Um, so when you're not cosplaying, what does your spare time look like?
Making my cosplays.
I guess I should have figured that.
it's either it's either working on a costume, because I like to be as cheap as possible, because I don't go to many conventions. I don't want to spend a fortune on a costume I'm maybe going
Yeah.
to wear 4 times for TikTok, so it's either upgrading, upcycling, repainting, or I'm on Animal Crossing. There's no in between. Like, there's no in between. I got my Switch like 3 weeks ago, and I have not put it down.
Oh my gosh. Animal Crossing.
I love it. I'm in love with it, and I wish I wish I'd had an opportunity to get one sooner. But yeah, my productivity has gone very downhill, but I'm not ashamed of it. I'm obsessed with it.
That's really funny. That's Animal Crossing. Oh my gosh.
I love
I
it.
remember that
I
that was like the rage.
lockdown. It was huge,
Yeah.
huge in lockdown, and I was absolutely gutted I couldn't play on it as well. So I've kind of got it as the hype has like really died down. But it means that I can just enjoy it in peace. I grew up playing on the PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Mhm.
So it's been really, I had the original Nintendo DS, the really big, thick, chunky one,
Oh,
that came out way back when. So to have like the newest console, it's like, oh, I'm right. But yeah, no, I've grown up on games. So if I'm not sewing, painting, a costume, I'm probably gaming, and I go live on TikTok a lot to just cozy game.
Mhm.
Um, because those and Tomb Raider are my sort of two categories: cozy games
Oh,
and Tomb
okay.
Raider.
Did you like the
Yeah,
kind of the remake versions of Tomb Raider?
I really did. I didn't think I was going to, but I really did. I thought it gave a really, really juicy backstory, and it
Mhm.
sort of explained a lot of the holes from the first few games.
Yeah,
And the graphics were just stunning. They were
yeah.
just gorgeous.
I grew up so I grew up watching those two Tomb Raider films with
Yeah,
Angelina Jolie, but I never played the
yeah,
games until I think it was like 2011 when the first one came out,
yeah.
something around that time. When that one came out, I played a little bit of it, but I never finished it. But last year
Oh, it's so good.
I did a playthrough of all three of the Tomb Raider games,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
loved it. I had a blast with
They're
them.
so good.
I was like, this
I
is.
definitely recommend, now that you've played those three, going back and playing the older games where
Mm,
she's a bit older. The Tomb Raider Legacy is my personal favorite. It's the one that I recommend everybody plays because it's just stunning. And Underworld is a really juicy one as well. That's a
okay.
really good one.
I think out
They're
of
my
those,
two recommendations.
okay, yeah, I think out of those three, I think I like the third one the most.
Yeah,
What is it? Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was my
I
favorite.
just love them. I love all of them as a collective.
Yeah,
They've never made a bad game for me
right.
to play. A little bit of it's nostalgia. My mum was playing it before I was born, so I just came out playing it. I just
I
have been playing it since I could
I
pick up a
think
controller.
they're
So
supposed to be doing a fourth one. I think
are they?
it.
Oh,
There
that's
hasn't been much news
exciting.
about it, but I feel like
Yeah,
the way the third one kind of like leaves off,
yeah,
it works in a way like it's a wrap up of the trilogy of the games, but it leaves the door
yeah,
open for a fourth one. So I hope. I mean,
yeah.
listen. I
No,
hope
that's. I
if they
hope
don't
so.
make a fourth one, that's fine. But I do hope they make a fourth
Yeah, it's like the third one was really good, so I'm not going to be mad if there's no more. But also, I would love some more.
one. Yeah,
So I get, I'm all
exactly.
for that. I'm all for a fourth one.
Uh, Now the other live action Tomb Raider movie, I
Hmm.
didn't care too much for. Um,
Oh, which one was that?
that one was like 2000, like 2016, 17. It was loosely based off the game.
The new one. I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like I've seen it. I probably have seen it just no more than once or twice because it is not ringing any bells.
Well, then
Um,
it's
yeah,
not that great.
that's probably why. That's
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
just erased it. It's like, no, that didn't happen. Franchise
it's,
is great. That didn't happen. It's not real.
yeah, and so it's just I was like, oh, this is not that great.
Yeah. Oh no, I do. Because isn't it the actress? I want to say from A Man from Uncle, but I could be wrong.
Let me see.
That could be the voice actress and the model for the games.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't her. It wasn't the voice actress that did the.
Dang.
Okay, so it was 2018, and it was the Laura Croft was played by Alicia Vikander.
No, that's not ringing a bell.
Okay,
That
okay,
name's not
okay.
ringing. I've probably seen it. I've more than likely seen it when it came out and just never watched it again
Yeah, yeah. I was
because I
very
like the
much upset
Angelina
that
Jolie
they.
movies.
Yeah, I was very much upset that they didn't use the same voice actress
Yeah,
in the game because she
yeah,
again looks just like her,
yeah.
and so it was just
They
one of
modeled
those.
the whole thing after her and then don't,
Yes,
don't use her. And it's a bit like
yep.
bit of a waste of an opportunity there.
It was just another one of those situations where a bad video game to movie adaptation that could have been done a little
Yeah.
bit better. So
Yeah, had a lot of opportunity to be incredible and it just don't talk about her.
But look, I mean, but to be fair, recently, video game based movies have actually been really, really good. Mario was
I
good.
really enjoyed Mario.
Yeah.
I really
What was
liked
another one?
Mario.
Oh, Sonic the
It was so
Hedgehog.
good. Sonic was really good. After the internet bullied Ugly Sonic
Oh
into
yeah.
being Sonic, it was phenomenal. I can't imagine what it would have been with Ugly Sonic.
Oh my
I can't
gosh.
imagine it would have been as successful as it was. But yeah, I have really enjoyed both Mario and Sonic, to be fair. I can't. Oh, and Dungeons and Dragons. I know it's not technically a video game, but it is a game
Yeah.
in a sense. I really enjoy Dungeons and
Oh yeah.
Dragons.
Very. Yeah, I loved it. It
I've
was
never
very.
played it. I really want to play it, but I really enjoyed it, and it's made me want to play even more.
I know. I was. It's good because like if you've played Dungeons and Dragons before, you kind of know some stuff within the movie. But even if you
Yeah,
haven't played it before, it's still a pretty fun movie to watch. And so
yeah.
I,
My
I had a
my
blast.
my partner plays every week with this,
Oh,
with the same group. It goes every single Sunday, and he has sort of like, this is what this thing is, and this is what that thing is, and this is what this thing is. And I was like, so what's this thing that was in the movie? And he's like, that's this thing, and it's good because of this. And I'm like, cool, I understand the movie now. I understand all the references.
oh yeah, that was. I remember just watching it, and just like when certain scenes and stuff like that happening, I was just like, I know what that is. I know what that is.
Yeah,
Yep, know what that
my
is. And
partner was the same.
it was just so fun. Such a fun movie.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Pine always helps,
Oh
but
yeah,
I
always.
really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
I probably like seen him in other movies growing up, but I just never knew who he was. But the first time I actually watched a movie that he was in, it was Star Trek. Um,
Yeah. See, I
that was
didn't
a
realize he was in Star Trek.
yeah.
Um, I know him from the Princess Diaries too,
Oh, I didn't see
from
that
my childhood, alongside Anne Hathaway, and I fell in love with him at first sight. And I haven't really seen him in very much else since my childhood. So I just keep rewatching the same movie. I'm like, I love this man. I don't know what else I can watch him in, but I love this man.
yeah.
So then when it came out that he was, I saw him on a poster for Star Trek, and I was like, how did I not know he was? Now I have a reason to watch it. I still haven't seen it. Just haven't gotten around to watching it. And then I saw that he was in Dungeons and Dragons, and I was like, babe, we're going to watch Dungeons and Dragons. He's like, you want to go with me? And I was like, yes. I'm not going to tell you why, but yes.
So what's so so tell me about the food that's there. I'm very interested by the food. It's always the standard. What is it? Fish and chips, kind
um,
of.
yeah, yeah. Fish and chips is, I mean, from where I'm from originally, is quite north of the country, and we are known for loving our fish and chips. And there's a big debate over whether it's scone or scone throughout the whole country. No one can agree anywhere. Um, and things like like a bread roll that you would put ham and cheese in to make a sandwich. That is also debated on whether it's a cob, a bap, a roll. There are hundreds of names for all of the food. It's a big debate that the whole country is having with each other. Um, but yeah, where I'm from, fish and chips is a big, big staple. And then all of our seaside towns, fish and chips, Mr. Whippy ice cream, which is just soft serve ice cream, essentially. Um, I can't think of anything else that's like a staple to England apart from fish and chips.
Right. That's the only thing that I
We
know of,
don't.
of England is
Oh, chips. Not chips. Toast. Beans on toast is a really big one
beans
here
on
that people
toast.
are just in love with. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So Heinz beans,
huh.
stick them in the microwave and chuck them on your toast. Delicious for breakfast.
Okay.
Absolutely amazing. Sprinkle some cheese on top, and you've got a 10 out of 10. That's a big one.
That's
Um, Sausage and mash. That's a big one as well. And we also have sort of like an unwritten custom tradition. that every Sunday you have a full roast dinner, which I don't know if that's a big thing in America. I know. So imagine Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner, but dialed back a little bit, and that's what we have every Sunday. Just roast chicken, all the vegetables, gravy, and a bit of mashed potato every week in most households. Not every household, but
Okay.
in most households. It is a
Just,
staple of every single week. Yeah.
do you do that?
I used to.
Oh,
I don't live with my mum anymore, so
oh okay.
I can't be bothered to cook a whole roast dinner for myself. But when I was staying with my partner and his parents, we would have a Sunday roast almost every single Sunday, and it was delicious. I miss it already. But yeah, I can't be bothered to put in a whole roast chicken and do all the vegetables for one
Okay,
person. It's just
that's
so
fair.
time consuming. But when I was living at home, we would have one every other week minimum, at least every other week.
Okay, that's interesting. Oh man,
And
food for
then
us.
you've got your scones with your cream and your jam that you have with your afternoon tea, which
So
not many people drink afternoon tea, you know, contrary to popular belief. Um, but I will say I did have a cup of tea before we started filming. So
so you're just building on to that stereotype. So
I do. I know a lot of people that drink tea. More like my mum. Growing up, my mum would have 3 cups of tea a day religiously,
oh my
if
gosh.
not more. Um, and I have now become a person that drinks 3 cups of tea a day. I can't function without a cup of tea in the morning. um, and I know a lot of people, sort of switched to coffee recently. And then I know loads of people that don't drink hot drinks, full stop. But tea in my life has always been quite a big staple.
Oh, wow, that is just interesting. So so what so you debate the names of a multitude of things. What's
Yeah,
what's the number one that could probably get you into a heated argument with somebody on how it's pronounced?
a bread roll.
Okay.
It's a cob to me. I'm from up north. My partner is from down south. Um, and he calls it a bap. And I'm like, ew, don't ever say that to me again. That's disgusting.
Oh my gosh, that's so
And his family, his mum's from London, so she calls it something completely different. And I'm like, no, it's a cob. Get over it. It's a chip cob.
oh my gosh. That's so crazy. I remember
And then obviously there's scone and scone as
oh
well. That
yeah.
that can cause heated debates.
Yeah.
Big heated debates.
I remember when I was in high school, one of my teachers was telling us, heard our Spanish teacher. They
Mm,
went to London and France. I
yeah.
forgot why they went, but they just went. She was telling us about how they went to. I think they went to France first, and then London. So they went to France, and she told us it's like the French people were very rude to them.
Yeah.
So when
Sounds
they
about
went to
right.
yep, and then they went to London, and she said the British people were very kind to them. They were very helpful. They were
Oh,
very
that
sweet. So she
surprises
gave.
me.
Oh, really?
That yeah. It depends whereabouts in London they went. But that yeah. In the UK, none of the UK has a great reputation for being very nice.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's fair.
um Yeah, we've got Cornwall who just like to think of themselves as their own country, and it's like, no, you're a city, but all right, suit yourself. We'll just leave you alone. Do your thing. Whatever makes you happy keeps you quiet. I'm from up north. I'm perceived as a commoner farm folk. Um, and then you've got the sort of middle where you've got a 50-50 chance of someone being absolutely awful to you or the nicest person on the planet, you know?
Oh my
And London
gosh.
is, stereotypically, London is very rough. So I'm glad she had a positive experience.
Right. 'Cause I mean, didn't y'all have like Jack the Ripper? Is that London?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
caught. So
Exactly. Yeah, no, there's quite a few British serial killers. That is my other pastime is serial killer documentaries, podcasts, true crime.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely love it.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's
when me and
yeah.
my partner are traveling back and forth, I'll put a true crime podcast on. He's driving, he's like this. And I'm just like, oh yeah, this is great. I'm gonna have a nap. And he's like, what? It's great.
Like
But yeah,
sleep
we've had
tight, and
quite a
then he
few to
just
be
can't sleep
fair.
because after listening.
Yeah, I love it. I fall asleep to them all the time, and he's just there like,
Yeah,
great, lovely.
like here in the U.S., we love our crime podcast too. I mean, we love our
Yeah.
crimes and things like that. Um, we not there are I guess like I say it's probably like the UK. There are parts where people are friendly, and then there's parts
Yeah.
where people aren't friendly. So I live in the South, so like
Hmm.
if you've ever seen a map of the United States, so like Alabama, Georgia, Florida, I'm in that southern part of the state.
Yeah.
So I mean we're pretty nice to one another. Like you can just walk down the street, look over, see somebody, and you do because we do this thing where like you're walking down the street and you just happen to see somebody, you'll make eye contact and you'll just kind of like nod your head and just keep on going,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you just say hey or what's up and you just keep on going. Like I mean, we'll
See,
acknowledge you, but we're not gonna
nobody,
like
in my experience, nobody else exists. Nobody talks to each other unless you know each other. I grew up in a really, really small, quite close knit town, or like part of my town. Because I live in a big city, but my little part that I grew up in is quite small and quite close knit, and everybody knew my mum growing up, which meant that everybody knew me, and I knew nobody. So, as a child, if I was walking down the street, I'd have my headphones and be like, "Oh, hi," and I'm like, "Hello." Carry on walking. I was like, "I don't know you, but sure." And then in 2021, I got COVID really, really badly, and was hospitalized for quite a while. And I went home to stay with my mom, and everyone on the street, oh, it's so glad to see you back home. I'm like, I don't know you. Why are you talking to me? And it's because they knew my mom, and because my mom works at the school, so everybody knows my mom. And I'm just like, I don't know you people. I'm not used to people talking to me. Because like where I live now, it's a bit bigger than where I grew up, and it's one of those. Unless you know someone in the street, you don't really acknowledge them. Unless you're really close to each other and you're about to bump into each other, and
right,
then it's just a sort of, oh, sorry, and you carry on walking. Like we're incredibly polite people, but if you get on the wrong side of a Brit, you'll end up in hospital. It's
right.
it's one of those. That's the reputation we have. We're extremely polite until you get on the wrong side, and then you'll get stabbed.
I, I don't know if you're much of a sports fan, but I do remember. I mean, this was maybe last year or 2 years ago when it was. I mean, we call it soccer, obviously, but you call it football,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and it was the U.S. versus Britain, and it was such a huge conflict,
yeah,
like it kind of like a friendly conflict with one another, because I don't think they had matched up against each other before in the it may
yeah,
have been the World Cup, but I could be wrong about that. But I
yeah,
know it was a soccer match. But like when people found out in both countries that they were playing one another, it went crazy.
yeah, yeah,
Everybody in the United States, there's very rare occasions we all come together as one. This was one of those occasions. we were just like we were just making jokes about
yeah,
beating the British again, and
yeah.
it was just
No, I remember a few World Cups ago, I think 2017, 18 time, there were riots in my town specifically, because we didn't win. We didn't get through, a certain thing. We didn't bring it home, if you will. And there were riots in the streets, there were shops being smashed up, there were taxis being smashed up,
oh
and it's
wow,
like really ashamed to be a Brit right now. We're not representing ourselves very well to the rest of the world.
We
So
uh
yeah,
we
it's I'm not a big football fan personally. I don't, purely because we get so chaotic as a country. It's horrible.
I think most Americans typically, because I don't watch soccer at all.
Yeah,
Um, there are Americans who do,
yeah,
but we really watch soccer when we're pitted against somebody we just don't like, or
yeah. And it's usually us.
yeah, or just somebody we can just troll on the internet. So, and this has happened to be
Yeah,
the British this time. So,
yeah.
um, so what are some so this is randomly came to my mind. What are some misconceptions that people get about British people?
I think in the media we are always presented as really posh
Mm,
and usually the bad guys.
that's true.
Not many of us are very posh. Like I said earlier, my partner's from down south near the seaside, and I'm from up north where everybody's, sort of stereotypically farmers, or we come from a line of farmers and working class and work, so a lot of us are common as muck. And a lot of us swear like sailors. Um, I've got a potty mouth myself. I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is. It's really difficult when you work with children, which I used to, because you're not allowed to obviously curse or swear in front of them, and they're like, "Thank you for throwing that chair at my head. Thank you." But I think that's a big misconception, is that everybody talks like the Queen in the Queen's English, and we don't. um, and it's like when people say, "Oh, I love the British accent," and we're like, "Which one?" There's hundreds. Which one? Which accent? Yeah, because I know, like in the US, you've got quite a distinct, Texan accent. Everybody knows when you're from Texas. Everybody knows when you're from Florida. Whereas here, everyone is from everywhere. It's all sort of an amalgamation. You've got your sort of really strong accents, but there's so many that the way that we're always portrayed as like speaking in the Queen's English, and oh sir, it's like, it's not real though, is it? Nobody talks like that anymore. And then there's the sort of idea that everybody has afternoon tea and crumpets every single day, and it's just not true. I can't remember the last time I had a crumpet, to be completely honest. And that like idea that everybody knows the Queen, and it's like, never been to Buckingham Palace in my life. So it's little things like that, I think, that the media seems to want to typecast us as, and they're just so far from reality. It's just ridiculous.
I remember watching when I was younger, and I remember
Yeah,
watching Austin Powers for the first time.
yeah. It's
It's just
pretty accurate.
I was like, this is quite interesting. Um,
Yeah.
do do y'all, so when it comes to school, do y'all get to just wear whatever you want for the most part, or do you actually
No.
have school uniforms? Because I know.
we I've never been allowed to wear my own clothes to school.
Oh, okay.
We have a uniform. Every school has their own uniform. But yeah, we have a uniform. I had, a skirt below the knee, shirt tucked in, tie, blazer, the lot. Some schools don't do the blazers, but I went to an academy. So we had to do the full blazers, the stereotypical, full blazers. Um, Primary schools all sort of have, a cardigan or a jumper and skirts or grey trousers. And yeah, and they're very strict. They're so strict on their school uniform policy.
Mm-hmm.
That if your skirt comes even a centimeter above that inch below the knee, you're in detention
Oh
straight
wow.
away. And um, if your shirt's untucked after PE because you've got another lesson on the other side of the school, you're in detention. They are so strict, or at least my school was anyway. And then when we go to sixth form, which is sort of in between school and university, we have sort of like a college level. But I know you guys call university college, so it's a bit confusing. But we have that sort of in between university and secondary school, where you are allowed to wear your own clothes. And they are a lot more lenient with it. And it's sort of to make you feel like a grown up, like you can pick your own clothes, so pick sensibly. Um, and everyone would go in tracky bottoms and baggy t-shirts because we're all exhausted from wearing a uniform for our entire lives.
Yeah.
And then you end up back in a uniform and you go to work and it's like, well, that was great while it lasted. What a fun year I had. What a fun 2 years that was.
Because we
But yeah,
have
no, they're very strict.
okay, because we don't have, obviously we don't have school uniforms, but obviously we have dress codes. So
Yeah,
we have elementary school, which is
yeah,
typically basically like kindergarten through
yeah,
fifth grade. Then we have middle
yeah,
school from sixth to eighth grade, and then we have the 4 years of high school, ninth through 12th grade, and then depending on what you want to go for college for, we have community college, and then we have
yeah.
the traditional 4 year colleges. So,
Hmm.
but we don't. I'm glad we
What
don't have
age
any of
groups are
those.
they? Like, what age groups are the schools? Because it's always confused me.
Ooh, I know high school wise. Let's see. High school wise, you're probably that is going to be like 15, 16 through like 18, 19,
Okay.
depending. It usually depends on when you start school.
Yeah.
Because on average, I would say probably most Americans graduate at the age of 18 or 17 if you're really
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
I graduated at the age of 19, but that's primarily because when I was younger, I got held back a grade. And so I was a
Yeah.
year behind everybody else. So technically, I would have if I would have been on course, I would have graduated when I was 18. But
That's
there are
mad.
there are occasions.
I've never known anyone that was held back a full year.
Mm,
Like that's crazy.
yeah,
You get extra help
yeah,
and you get extra support and whatever, but you finish with everybody else. You don't really have a graduation from secondary school to college. You have a prom, like a mini prom, and it's not the best because prom is not a big thing here.
oh,
Um, you sort of have like it's like a leaving party where everybody comes together. They call it prom to make it look extravagant, but it's just sort of like a school disco. And you finish with the grades that you get, and that's it.
okay.
That's it. Like it's quite crazy that you guys get held back so far. Because we've got primary school and junior schools, which are like your kindergarten is the junior,
Mm.
and then it's sort of 5 through 10 is primary school, and then 11 through oh, how old was I when I left secondary school? 16. 16. It's 11 through 16 is secondary school, so that's year 7 through 11. And then college is 16 to 18, or university is the 4 years.
Wait, so you start college technically when you're 16? You can start college technically when you're 16.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's that sort of in between. We've got university where you start when you're 17, 18, and you go on to do your 4 years and, get your diplomas and whatever. And then we have college that's just underneath where you can get your A levels,
Mhm.
that set you up for university or set you up to go off to work. And then it's secondary school below sixth form, which is
Okay.
college.
Right. Yeah, we do have where, especially where I live, we have trade schools where you can learn to be like a
Yeah.
carpenter, electrician,
Yeah.
just like that kind of thing. But if you wanted to be like a
Yeah.
doctor, a teacher, something like that,
Yeah.
then you would typically
That's
go
uni.
do
Yeah.
4 years plus of college.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, oh, that's interesting. That is really.
Yeah.
I was just curious because I remember again one of the things I usually see when it comes to like British type things is it's like the school uniforms all
Yeah. No, that's right. That's correct.
Gosh, that is crazy.
And they are for everybody that I've ever known, they've been incredibly strict. There's obviously a few schools out there that aren't as strict, but have a worse reputation, if that makes sense. They're sort of known as the rough schools that you don't want your kid going to. We've got special educational schools that are specifically for Senko needs, which I love that. I love that they are in their own place where they can learn in their own way. And it's, the teachers are taught to teach special educational needs, which is amazing. Because it means that they then get equal opportunities when they leave school because they've been taught in a way that they need to be. But yeah, almost every school, to my knowledge, every single school has a uniform and every single child hates it. So
I mean, I would too.
My partner, for example, can't tie a tie because his school uniform didn't have one until the later years and it was a clip-on, whereas I had a tie from 11 years old to 16 years old, so I could tie one with my eyes closed. I'm never going to need to tie a tie in my life. Yet I can tie a tie. If I took anything from school, I know how to do that. And ours was so strict that if your tie didn't touch your belly button, you would have to retie your tie in front of the teacher. Like, it was horrible.
That's
yeah.
Oh,
it was
wow.
a lot. They were very, very keen on having a good reputation. Even though half the kids at school were, those kids that act up, that disrupt everybody for no reason whatsoever. And the grades were average. We were not like a phenomenal school. It was average.
Mm-hmm.
So they would do everything they could to get the best reputation that they could, and that came through the uniform policies. And like when we had Ofsted round, I remember one time going into my English class and it being half empty, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's so quiet. Where is everyone?" She was like, "Oh, they've gone on a field trip for the day because Ofsted are coming." I was like, "That's so not fair. That's so unfair. I'm being punished for being a good student." And it was so that their Ofsted report would be positive. It's like, oh. But I had a really nice English lesson because it was really quiet and there were no disruptive kids in the back irritating anyone. So pros and cons. But yeah, they were so obsessed with having a positive reputation in the city that they went to very great lengths.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, y'all, you've produced some really good, really lovable British actors and actresses. So I mean, it's I think Tom Holland, he's British.
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, who else is British that I
know? Who's the guy that plays David Tennant? He's British. He's in Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Everybody in Doctor Who. Who else have we got? I'm trying to think of people in like superhero movies, and I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. Florence Pugh, who plays Yelena.
She's British?
She's British.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She grew up in an area of London, I believe. I can't remember exactly where, but she's because I was shocked at that. I was like, no way. No way. But yeah, she's British.
I mean, I
can't think of anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, y'all usually have like really good actors and actresses, like really top tier. Mm-hmm. So I mean,
the actors and actresses that come from the UK, because obviously in LA you've got Hollywood and everything. You can get picked up on the street. We don't have that luxury here, so they do dedicate. My friend at the minute has just finished university, where she's done a movie, sort of media course where it's acting, dancing, production, the lot, to potentially have an opportunity to take on film in the future. So they dedicate their whole lives to acting. If you don't want to be an actor, you're never going to be an actor. If you haven't dedicated your whole life, which is probably why everybody is such a high standard when they come from England, because they've spent so much time dedicated to the craft. Um, and it's always nice seeing a British actor in a big like blockbuster movie, because you're like, oh, they're representing us and they're actually doing a good job. That's nice. But then they've always got American accents, and it's like nobody knows you from England, but it's okay, we know.
Yeah, they put on really good American accents. So,
They do, and I've never seen an American do a good British accent.
No, we're terrible.
Ever.
We're
So bad.
We're not very good at a lot of things. So
I think that it's very true. I think the reason that British people as a whole can do an American accent is because we've grown up with American TV, and American media and American movies, where there's not many solely British media that's shown in America. Like, we've got the BBC, which obviously shows Doctor Who and all of that, where it's British made, it's British produced, it's British actors. We've got our soap operas that are all British. And then we've got channels dedicated to American programs and sitcoms and TV shows. And all of the movies that you're sort of exposed to, Disney, Marvel, DC, they're all American. So we've kind of grown up with that our whole lives. So it's probably the reason Americans can't do our accent, but we can do yours, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Because we're not really exposed to that much British culture.
And when you are,
unless you actually like go and spend time there.
Yeah.
So probably something we should work on.
Yeah, definitely. We need more exposure in America, because again, the stereotypical idea that Americans have of the British is so warped and old that it's just not like that anymore. Yeah. We're quite an Americanized country. We do a lot of things the exact same as you guys. And everyone's like, oh, you're drinking tea and crumpets with the Queen. It's like, no, I've never seen the Queen. Nobody has seen the Queen. And it's like, when you see a British person in an American movie, they're usually in a tailcoat and a top hat. Always. And they've got the most posh accent, and they're always the villain, and it's just not the case, I can't remember the last time I saw someone in a top hat, honestly. But we need more British exposure for the Americans, because like the countrysides are stunning. It's such a beautiful country that we've got historical buildings for days. I went when I was growing up, we went to the castle that's local. Almost every city in England has a castle of some sort. It's amazing, and some of our buildings are just phenomenally gorgeous. And then you go inside and it's like a new look, and you're like, oh, okay, well, that's jarring. This gorgeous historical building, and it's a clothes shop inside.
Yeah.
But it is. We have gorgeous countrysides and things like that, and it doesn't get shown enough in the media. I don't think. Like, we see it because we've got things like Coronation Street, and Emmerdale is set up north in the countryside, and that's a program that's on every single night at the same time that people watch religiously. It's a soap opera that people watch religiously. All over the UK, it's a staple of sort of family homes, and it's kind of the only exposure we've got to the countryside as well, unless you go traveling around the UK. But yeah, it's a gorgeous country, and it does not get enough credit from the rest of the world for being as pretty as it is, because we're so little as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. We're such a tiny little country. And yeah, it's stunning if you get the opportunity. I recently went to Wales for the first time, and driving up to my friend's house, it was just all cliffs and hills, and it was all green, and it was like, oh my goodness, this is stunning. I don't get this where I'm from. I'm right in the middle
Mm.
in a city, you know. I don't get the opportunity to go out and be in the middle of nowhere very often. So it's lovely if you want to escape reality. It's a gorgeous country.
I'll have to definitely try to visit sometime.
Oh, definitely. And we also have Batman's house. So, you know,
Oh yeah,
10 out of 10
yeah.
there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's I spent my whole childhood going to Batman's house and didn't even realize that that's what it was. Great. When they filmed it, the whole interior, because it's like a museum,
Mm.
like a natural history museum inside, and I grew up going there every summer because it's the grounds are stunning. It's private land that's preserved, and the deer roam free. It's their home. They can come up to you and hit you if they feel like it, and you've got to deal with it. It's amazing. Um, and inside is like a natural history museum. So, you know, I grew up looking at all the mammoths and the saber-toothed tigers and the skulls and things. Went in one day and it was just Batman everywhere. And it was like, oh my goodness, what the hell's going on? I was about 16 at the time, I think. And we'd gone to visit over the summer and it was just, they had like a superhero trail for the kids and like Batman like tapes to take pictures with. And I'm like, the hell happened to all the historical garments? What's going on? And then and then I was told, oh, it's in the new Batman movie, so we're doing promotion. I have a board game, I have Monopoly, but it's the DC version that I bought in Batman's house the year that it came out. Like
Oh my gosh, that's
they
crazy.
really really went hard with it. But then I took my partner because he's never been to my city before. And I took him to this place and he was like, oh, this is stunning. I was like, you see that building up there? And he was like, yeah, it's like this Batman's house. And he was like, can we go? And I was like, of course we can. So we went up and he was like, I touched Batman's house. I was like, yeah, you did. And there's like a tree on the ground that everybody loves going to take pictures with because that's where somebody in the movie is buried. I haven't watched it for a long time, but it's where somebody in the movie is buried outside the house. And it's one of our biggest attractions. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's
But
great.
cool.
It's amazing. It's
Definitely cool.
amazing.
Um,
And then I know that Loki season 2 was filming over here not that long ago.
oh,
I don't know where they were, but I'm pretty sure they filmed a few scenes over here. I think. Don't quote me on it. But I'm sure I saw a rumor that they were somewhere over here. And then I don't know if you guys watch Peaky Blinders over there very
yeah,
much.
yeah. There's a few.
That's a
It
big
has a
one.
small audience.
It's a big one over here because it shows the more common folk where we're not all posh and super spies. It's just your common folk, you dirt poor folk,
Mm.
and your gangs and whatever. But that's really big over here, and it's filmed locally as well, which is lovely. And like I see people on TikTok and stuff like filming out of their window, like, look, Peaky Blinders is filming outside my house. It's like the most bizarre thing.
Gosh, that is crazy. That sounds like a fun time though.
It's great. It's great.
But all right, guys, I think that is where we will drop this episode. This was so much fun. Thank you for coming on. Such
That's
a
no
good
problem. I enjoyed
conversation.
myself.
Yeah, it was very fun. As per usual, you guys, it should be up on screen now, but this is all the ways you can follow and support her through social media. But for those who are watching or those who are listening on podcast, how can they follow and support you?
My TikTok is LittleTeeny cosplay. No, that's my Instagram. It's LittleTeeny cosplay. My TikTok is LittleTeeny, and my Twitter is LittleTeeny cos.
Because so be sure to go give her a follow, show her some support, and man, this was very fun. I had such a
I
good
had a lot of fun.
This was really good. But other than that, you guys, hit the like and subscribe button, comment below, check out the channel while you're at it, and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.